What did we do yesterday? Let's just quickly recap. We spoke about Ramsar Convention. We defined what is the Ramsar Convention. We spoke about what is a wetland, why wetlands are important, why they have to be conserved. Then we spoke about the Ramsar sites in India and we looked at the flora and fauna. Then we looked at some national parks which we didn't complete fully. Some national parks from the very south to the very north in different climatic regions. Correct, no? This was with respect to biodiversity. Correct, no? That's what we saw. Probably in the second half of this class, we will go back and we will look at those things, and I can also recap what we have done through the course. Today, we will just look at a very important topic, okay? That is pollution. Every year in prelims, you have multiple questions from pollution, okay? There are a few acts that we need to know whenever we are talking about pollution. Can we just think about these acts? Which are these important acts? Air Pollution Act, okay, like this, Air Pollution Act. Next, second one is Water Pollution Act. Next, have you heard of the Forest Protection Act of 1980? Very important act. Next, EPA 1986. What is it? Environment Protection Act of 1986. All very important acts. So these acts give rise to a number of bodies, okay, regulatory bodies. For example, you have CPCB and SPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Boards. How are these boards coming into existence? That is the first question. It is coming in through these acts. So CPCB, SPCB both are statutory bodies, okay? CPCB and SPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board, are statutory bodies, okay? Why are they statutory bodies? Because an act of the parliament is giving effect to it. Understood? And it is mentioned in the acts. We will try and look at some acts also today. Very, very quickly I'll run through some of the acts. Okay? Okay. So why do we need two institutions? Why do we need one at the central level, one at the state level? For example, when we were talking about, yesterday we were talking about this one, no? Huh? We were talking about biodiversity boards, right? That was day before yesterday, right? Day before yesterday, we were talking about biodiversity boards. So you had national level biodiversity board and state level biodiversity board and local level biodiversity boards. You had it at all the three levels. Similarly, pollution control board, you have it at the central level and you have it at the state level. Why do you need two boards? Because we have a federal structure. So, do we have does everything have state and central? No.
Due to vast divergence, like regulatory maintenance is the act from the level of.
Correct. So, control and regulation is more effective. That is the reason. Okay. So, why are central? Generally, okay, I'll give you a very generic idea, okay. Whenever you have a split between center and state like this, the role of the central institution becomes more about planning. It becomes more about planning, it becomes more about education, it becomes more about setting a framework for the states to follow, okay, so that all the states have the same kind of input, okay. That's how central and state get split. The role of the states becomes more about implementation of the orders of the center and implementation of whatever is there in the act. This is true across the board for almost all institutions, wherever you have the central state structure. Understood? The reason I am telling you this is even tomorrow when you are doing polity, this will help you. Whenever you have center and state, it means the center is more involved with planning and higher level thinking. the state is generally involved with implementation. Correct, no? Okay. For example, take the Panchayati Raj Institutions Act. The center has passed an act which is a constitutional amendment, and that is giving you how the structures should be, that is the 3-tier system. Now it is up to the states to implement the 3-tier system. Okay. Similarly, with the Central Pollution Control Board also, this board does a lot of research and it says these things are polluting the environment. And for example, let's say nitrous oxide or nitrogen dioxide, NO2. When you say nitrogen dioxide is causing pollution, what levels are acceptable? Who is deciding that? That guidance value is given by the center. The state should implement it. Okay. But remember this, the state can also change it. Okay. The state can change the guidance. But generally, rules will be such that the state cannot go down. It can go up. For example, if it says 100 units of nitrogen dioxide in the atmosphere is okay. Okay. But now the state cannot say 200 units is okay. Right. But the state can say only 80 units is allowed. So if the environment is going to get helped by the state regulation to a greater extent, it can make the changes. But if it is not, then generally it is not at all allowed to do. Okay. The standards set by the center cannot be diluted by the state or should not be diluted by the state. In fact, the act itself talks about it and it says that the standards set by the center should not be diluted. But it can take stricter regulations into action. For example, now let's say you are in the industrial zone and there is some textile mill. Textile mill have very bad effluents. Effluents means waste discharge. So they have very bad effluents that they pass it on directly into the water. Correct. Now if let's say the center has given certain standards and those industries are maybe following those standards, which generally they don't, but let's say they are following, but now the water is highly polluted. So the state can say, okay, this level of pollution is not acceptable in this area, so we have stricter regulations. Correct. So that also the state can do. What else can the State Pollution Control Board do? What else is it? We are just talking generically now. I'll come to the specifics, don't worry. What else can the State Pollution Control Board? Just think. Correct. So because we are talking at an implementation level, when we are talking about State Pollution Control Board, we are talking at implementation level. How do you bring the policy into action? That is what state levels we always look at. So what did you say? You can ask the industries to treat the water better before discharging it to the river or somewhere else. Treat it more. Right. So this is what the state boards can do. And let's say you're setting up an industry like a paper. That day we spoke Dandeli paper, everything we spoke. No? Let's say I want to set up a paper factory in Dandeli near a river, so that it's easy for you to do your discharge of pollutants, and also because raw material is easily available in the form of timber from the forests. Okay. Now I want to set up an industry. Who is giving you these permissions to set it up? It is the state government that is giving it. And one of the very important institutions that will do it is the SPCB, that is State Pollution Control. You have to get approval from State Pollution Control Board saying that, okay, we are treating this discharge in this way, so please give us permission, and it's up to them to give it or not. Okay, so back to CPCB. CPCB, SPCB are statutory bodies. I hope you understood how the central and state system is set up, not just for pollution control boards, but across. This is true. Okay. Now this is under MOEF, that is Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. Okay. Roles. So this is important. Again, you will just see what we just discussed, nothing else. Very quickly I'll run through. If you have doubts, please ask me. Okay, because not very complicated. So advising the central government on matters related to pollution. Now standards for quality, like we said, no, it can say 100 units of some gas is permitted in the air, but not more. So these standards are set up by whom? The CPCB, not government. You shouldn't say government, because everything is government. Starting from Panchayati Raj up to the Prime Minister, everybody is in the government. So you should have the Pollution Control Board, air, water, soil, not just air. Whenever we say pollution, mind goes to where? Air pollution or water pollution. Everything is under the ambit of CPCB and SPCB. Air, water, soil. Hazardous waste is a different story. That will come later. Okay. Okay. So again, planning and executing nationwide programs. Again, executing is largely done by the state. They say execution, but very little happens from the central board, because they don't have that kind of capacity, and that is not their function. Okay. So planning, like we said, okay, and prevention and control, providing technical assistance. See, this is a very important point. Okay. You can just say providing technical assistance. Like I said, it is about educating and research. That is what the central body will do. It will learn about the best practices from somewhere and it will guide. That is what Niti Aayog is also doing. What is the role of Niti Aayog? Niti Aayog does planning and it studies the best practices from across the world, and then it starts telling the state governments that this is the best practice in this field, please follow this, and these are the steps that you have to take so that you achieve these results. Correct? No, this is what Niti Aayog does. Similarly, any central institution that you look at will try to do this. It will provide technical assistance, it will try to provide the best practices for the states to follow, but it is up to the states to implement it on ground. Okay, so provide technical assistance and guidance to the state boards. Now again, coordinating with state boards, that is something that they will do. This is true for anything that you do, right? So next, R&D regarding pollution control. Again, collating means getting it together, collecting, collating and disseminating technical and statistical data. We have already covered all. Organizing training program for personnel. For example, how do you go into the field and implement the policy at a higher level? We are not just talking about ground level workers here. Even managers, for example, how do you manage? What are the points that you have to look at? For example, an industry is doing some effluent discharge. What are the points that you have to address? What solutions can you provide to the industry? If the industry is not willing to listen, that's a different story. But at least you have to give them solutions. How do you think about these solutions? I think all that organizing and training is done by CPCB. Organizing and training is done by CPCB. So now that we have seen about CPCB, I think it is clear now that CPCB is more about planning, training, disseminating information, telling state boards what to do. This is what CPCB does. Then we come to SPCB, State Pollution Control Boards. Again, the reach of CPCB whenever we talk is national, correct? No? Whenever we talk about SPCB, it's within their own states. Now, let me say, whenever we talk about state, you can always talk about enforcement. Okay, enforcing the provisions of the Water Pollution Act, the Air Pollution Act within the state. Again, we don't have a specific act for soil pollution, but we have everything in Air, Water and EPA, Environmental Protection Act, and Forest Rights Act. Everything is covered with respect to soil pollution. Okay, again, laying down state specific standards within the framework set by CPCB. You cannot go set whatever standards you want. The standards that you set must be in line with or better than the provisions that are there that have been set by whom? By CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board. Granting consent, like I said, you have to take permission from whom? From SPCB. Industries have to take from whom? So this could be a question in prelims. They will ask, Tomorrow Tata Industries is setting up a big chemical plant. Tata Chemicals is setting up a chemical plant in Karnataka. Who should you ask permission for? State government and State Pollution Control Board, central government and central pollution government, both of the above, none of the above, with respect to only pollution. Obviously, the answer is SPCB. Okay. Again, monitoring pollution levels with the state and maintaining data, inspecting pollution sources. So this is very important because the state government has to keep inspecting and giving clearances. Correct? For example, in the first year, the effluents are not very heavy, but from the second year it starts getting heavy. How will we get to know? Only if you do inspection. So inspection is not done by CPCB. Again, the ground level implementation is always SPCB. Okay. Okay, we'll also look at how powers are split between the CPCB and SPCB. Again, hierarchical framework, we have already covered everything that is there in this. Okay, CPCB is about national framework, SPCB is about implementation. Now, coordination. Again, CPCB acts as a coordinator between the central government, state government regarding pollution, and also between state governments for implementation. Okay. Now, guidance and assistance. Again, like we said, that is one of the principal roles of CPCB. No doubts. No, we can go ahead. Okay. Autonomy in enforcement. Right. Now, enforcement, CPCB can direct SPCB. Okay. CPCB can direct SPCB, but the actual enforcement is done by whom? SPCB. SPCB does the actual enforcement. But the CPCB can give directions to SPCB saying, oh, get this done. If they don't do it, CPCB can take action on that SPCB also. Directions can be given, but enforcement is generally done by SPCB. This is also true whenever you look at the federal structure and there is one central institution and one state institution. Almost everywhere it is true. Okay. Next. Now we will look at major air pollutants, major water pollutants, major soil pollutants, their sources, their effect on human health. Very, very common questions, always comes in prelims. This is not going to be very, very comprehensive. Okay, we are going to look at the top 5 pollutants in each sector, which is more than enough. But in our notes, you will have tables. You can read the table and mug up, saying that these are the effluents from different areas. Understood, no? Shall we go through this now? So, air pollutants. The first one we look at is particulate matter or PM. Okay? PM 2.5, PM 10. You would have any pollution, report. If you read, we are going to be looking at something called particulate matter. So we are talking about particulate matter. Okay, whenever you take any pollution report, the first thing that you will see is particulate matter. What is particulate matter? Particulate matter can be anything. Okay, so we are defining particular matter by the dimension. We are defining particulate matter by dimension. And what is 2.5? 2.5 is micron. How much? What is the size of a micron? Can you tell me? What is the size of a micron? You should know all this. You should definitely know. Micron is ಎಷ್ಟು? No. I have written 10. No. 10 to the power of minus 6. Okay. 10 to the power of minus 6 is 10 to the power of minus 6 meter. That is micron. That is 1 followed by 6 zeros. 1 followed by 6 zeros is how much? 10 lakhs. Correct? No. 1 followed by 6 zeros is 10 lakhs. So it is 1 by 10 lakh of a meter. Got it? So it is 10 to the power of minus 6 meter. So we have two kinds of particulate matter. Particulate matter 10 and particulate matter 2.5. So this is 2.5 micron, this is 10 micron. Okay. Okay. So which is bigger, 2.5 micron or 10 micron? 2.5 is bigger. Okay. I think we need to take CSAT classes very soon, I think. No? I'm talking about dimension. Which one is bigger? Which one? Okay. No. So particulate 10 means it's the bigger size. Okay. Will bigger size particulate matter cause problems or smaller size cause problems? More problems. Why? Why does the smaller size cause more problems? Let's reason it out. You inhale it more easily. You inhale it more easily. Correct? No? But that argument still does not stand. I will tell you why. Because we are talking in terms of 10 to the power of minus 6 microns. That is 10 to the power minus 6 meters. So it's already so small that it becoming just a fourth of that size isn't going to matter from a very big perspective. But what happens is the fine cilia in your nose and your nose hair, this will all not be able to stop 2.5. It will stop 10, but it will not stop 2.5. For example, silica dust, less than 2.5. PM 2.5 means not just 2.5, 2.5 and below. Understood? No? 10 means not just 10, 10 and below. Understood? Okay. So that is maximum size of 2.5, maximum size of 10. So if somebody says, oh, there is one particulate matter of 1.5 micron, that does not mean it is not under 2.5. Understood? No? That is also PM 2.5 only. We don't have PM 1.5, PM 1.25 and all. Okay. So this is about particulate matter. Again, sources. Whenever you see pollution of particulate matter or air pollution, be rest assured that your vehicle emissions will definitely have it. But India has been going with stricter emissions now, correct? Which stage of emissions are we on now? Bharat stage 6. We are at Bharat stage 6 emissions. This is as of 2023. Now, India is one of the fastest adopters of EVs today, electric vehicles. The way that we are adopting two-wheelers today has been very quick. Four-wheelers we are still taking time, but we are adopting that also very quickly, right? Why do we have to use EVs? Pollution gets controlled. See, there are two kinds of arguments for EV, okay? All this are important, especially let's say now you go to the interview, right? These kinds of discussions become important. Maybe it's not very important from a prelims point of view, but when you go to interview, these kind of discussions become important, correct? No? Okay, let's have a very small discussion on this because it's related to pollution and I want you to understand how pollution works. Now, people are saying use EV to reduce pollution, okay? EVs have to be charged. Where is that coming from? Huh? I'm sorry? Batteries, right? You are storing it in batteries. How are the batteries getting charged? Our electricity grid, mostly our home electricity, which is connected to the grid, which is connected to the power stations. Which is our most used fuel for producing electricity? Coal, thermal power stations, coal. Is coal cleaner or petrol cleaner? Huh? Petrol is cleaner or coal is cleaner? Petrol is cleaner, correct? Okay, now we'll connect everything. You are using coal to generate electricity at a loss and then transmit it. There are transmission losses. Then that is coming to your distribution centers with distribution losses. Then you are putting that into battery, heating losses. A battery is driving the motor. Then you are going in the car. So many losses are there. And you are using a source that is even more unclean than what your regular car is doing. So how are EVs cleaner? How are EVs reducing pollution? From my point of view, it is increasing pollution because it's using a source at the thermal power station. It is using a source that is even more unclean. Don't agree with me, debate with me. Why not? The emissions are there at the thermal power station, no? Coal is very unclean. I mean, just piles and piles of smoke.
Using more petrol, using more petrol will lead to reducing the result cost. Exactly more difficult than petrol.
That is okay. I think economically, okay. If you just look at the cost comparison of a EV with respect to, let's say, a petrol or diesel vehicle, EV works out only after, let's say, 1.5 lakh kilometers. Till then, it does not work out. So, price metrics are out of the question. Doesn't work. Next.
For charging the batteries, like we can use
Solar energy. Okay. Let's say we use solar energy to charge the batteries. Now, the batteries are a big source of pollution. That I left it out. But I wanted to use it, but now I'll use it against you. So batteries are a big source of pollution. How do you dispose batteries? Till today, we have no plan. We have no plan as to how to dispose batteries. So, why should we use EVs? The way you are generating power is more unclean. You have the power of batteries. You have range anxiety. Why should we use EVs?
all those problematic issues can be solved.
How? How are you? So okay, that we can think, right? So one of the answers is that over time we will solve it. Let's just do this now, and over time we will solve it. Okay. I mean, it's going to happen. I will answer it. Don't worry. Next. Although using solar energy to charge your, yeah, we'll come to that. Using solar energy to charge your EV is very hard. For example, Tata Nexon has a 30 kilowatt hour battery. To charge 30 kilowatt, the amount of solar, you have to cover your entire roof of your house with solar panels to start charging the car. Correct? No, nobody is doing it today. Is anybody doing it? I don't know. For heating water, it's okay. You're not using anything for more than that.
Nowadays, many battery charging stations have been set up.
That is addressing EV charging.
Yes, sir. So that will extend the life of the batteries also. So
It will not expand the life of the batteries. Because I'll tell you that also. Fast charging portals that you see are going to decrease the life of the battery. Okay? It's not going to increase. The faster you charge, the number of cycles you can charge comes down. Okay? Okay. Enough. I'll start answering. What is the perspective for this? Now, where is the pollution happening? That is what the governments are more concerned about. For example, let's take the question of Delhi. Delhi has numerous problems, man. Okay, Delhi has numerous problems. Forget it. I mean, the stubble burning is a very big problem. That is seasonal. Forget stubble burning for a moment. Okay, we're just talking about vehicles. There are over 2 crore people in NCR. Very small area. Radius of what? 75-80 kilometers. There are over 2 crore people. Right? 2 crore is how much? 20 million. Population of Australia in a radius of 80 kilometers. Australia's population is around 22 million. That's all. The whole of Australia's population is in a radius of 80 kilometers in the Delhi NCR area. Everybody is rich, everybody has a car. Correct? The pollution there is so localized that the air is becoming unbreathable because there is also a cold temperature in the winter months which is causing smog. The smog is affecting everybody's health. AIIMS and Safdarjung are always full. AIIMS hospital and Safdarjung hospital are always full. People are lying on the footpath waiting for treatment. Correct? No. Because they are not even able to breathe. Children are suffering. So, where the pollution is happening. That is also a concern. With a thermal power plant, what are they doing? It is somewhere far away from the urban centers where the elites live. Correct, no? Now, for example, Karnataka, where is the thermal power station? Huh? Kaiga and Raichur, right? Raichur has a thermal power plant. Raichur is so far away from Bangalore, from all of the big industrial places, and from our capital, Bangalore. Correct? No, this is where the politicians are. They don't care about it. And what have they done for the welfare of Raichur? Raichur itself has power cuts, even though it has thermal power stations. You don't have 24-hour power delivery to Raichur. Where do you have 24 hours? But Bangalore has 24 hours power delivery. Correct? So politicians are more concerned with where the pollution is happening. The same is true with EVs. EVs pollute nothing here. Correct, no? So the streets are going to become more breathable. Pollution is happening elsewhere. That's a different story. What are you going to do with the batteries? You have only two options, or maybe three options. The first option is they'll find landfills, put it there. Have you heard of Malur near Bangalore? Okay. There are mountains in Malur. You know what mountains? Garbage mountains. I'm not even kidding. Just, okay. I think because we can show you, I think we should show you. What's happening with pollution and why we need to address it. I think that is very important. One second. I don't know, these images are not available now, but there used to be mountains in Malur. This is general pollution that you see in Bangalore only. But mountains, huh? Yeah. So you have mountains on top of mountains. Malur is very famous for that. I mean, very infamous for it. Huge mountains. What are you going to do with this? That's the point I'm coming to. You have these mountains of waste. What are you going to do? You have to burn it. What is the choice? You have to burn it now. What else are you going to do with it? No, let's not think from an idealistic point of view. I'm talking reality now. Okay, I'm talking reality. What we need to do as Dan said, emissions, air pollution is happening. What is the solution? You are going to take that in trucks somewhere. Where are you going to take it? People are going and dumping it in the oceans. Either you incinerate or you have landfills. You put it underground. Or you try and recycle, which we don't do here.
India doesn't have this technology.
No, it's a problem everywhere. But people recycle a lot more abroad. Like developed nations recycle a lot more. But my point is, when it comes to things like EV, where the pollution is happening is important, and how you tackle the pollution in an urban center with very high concentration of people is very important, because the moment we are talking about pollution, health goes bad. Health goes bad, people won't vote. Health goes bad, people are standing outside hospitals. If there are no hospitals, infrastructure has to be built. These people don't know how to build infrastructure. Correct, no? So all these problems are going to happen. Okay, this is just a side discussion about EV. Also, when you in the interview, you can be candid. Okay, in the interview, you don't always have to give idealistic answers. If you want, you can give realistic answers. This is the ground situation, nothing is changing, we should be able to change. So in that time, they will ask, oh, you will come and change, they will ask. So you should tell, yes, I hope to do it. You should have that confidence to say, yes, I hope I do it. They will still get offended, don't worry. So yeah, whenever we are talking about particulate matter, we are going to talk about vehicle emissions, of course industrial processes and construction activities. For example, cement dust. right? Cement dust is, if you have ever been near a construction area, immediately you'll go into Akshu. Why? Because it's just pushing itself into your nostrils and into your respiratory systems. So clearly particulate matter, we know, respiratory diseases, because going and clogging up all your alveoli. What are alveoli? Alveoli are at the very end of your bronchioles that actually take all the oxygen and deliver it to the rest of the system that can give you oxygen. Okay, that is alveoli. So as respiratory diseases, these PM 2.5 can clog up your alveoli. That means your ability to take in oxygen and distribute it to your system reduces. The moment that happens, what happens? Your health issues begin to turn up. Okay. So again, heart diseases, strokes, decreased life expectancies. This is all with respect to only particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter particulate matter 10. So the size is in microns. The size is in microns. Size is in microns. How much is a micron? Minus 6 meters. 10 to the power of minus 6 meters. Okay. Yeah. Now nitrogen dioxide. Major is always vehicle emissions. Okay. So we'll give notes. Okay. In the notes you have what is the percentage and everything. You can just go. I just want to run through the concepts. Exact things you will have to mug up. I cannot do anything for that. Okay. So nitrogen oxides. What are nitrogen oxides? NO is nitrogen monoxide. NO2 is nitrogen dioxide. N2O is nitrogen oxide. What is it also called? Laughing gas. N2O is laughing gas. Nitrous oxide. N2O is nitrous oxide. N2O, nothing is doing, and there is no laughing gas that's coming out of the vehicles. Okay, so mainly it is NO and NO2. Okay, only petrol bunk owners are laughing, that's all. Everybody else is crying. Okay, again, power plants, especially coal. Coal is a very, very big emitter of nitrogen oxides. Actually, thermal power plants are supposed to use catalytic converters and filters. These are supposed to reduce everything, but they are not doing a very good job, and they are just emitting everything out, and this needs regular maintenance. These people are very casual about it, but they can do a better job. Again, health effects, respiratory problems, reduced lung function, asthma. This is standard. Okay. Again, sulfur, oxides of sulfur. Sulfur always gives a burning sensation to you, right? And it brings water to your eyes. Wherever you have sulfur, it brings water to your eyes, and you have a burning sensation. Sources again are coal-fired power plants, industrial process, burning of fossil fuels. Respiratory problems, especially in children and elderly. Okay, so air pollution, most of it, whatever you see, has to do something with your respiratory problems, right? Which is the most severe one that you have to know. Oxides of nitrogen are very, very problematic. Oxides of sulfur are also very, very problematic. And of course, carbon monoxide will kill you. You would have seen all these movies now. When this heroine is trying to commit suicide, she will go into garage and switch on the car, and she will close the garage, then she will die. How? That is carbon monoxide pollution only. Okay. Don't waste petrol in case anybody wants to commit suicide. You know. Yeah. Now ozone. This is very interesting, right? How many of you knew ozone is a problem? Is ozone a pollutant? Why and how? Okay, what is the ozone layer? So it's protection layer. No, how is it a pollutant?
Whatever is the nature is holding it.
Okay, ozone is holding something back. What is it holding back? Emissions, Upper layer. Okay. Okay. What is the problem if there is ozone that is getting formed? What happens when there is a lot of sunlight on O3? O3, right? O3. Correct. O is minus or plus, sir? Minus. Okay. Yeah, so that's the answer, right? So what happens is when there is a lot of sunlight, O3 splits into O2 plus O minus. O minus, what does it do? Now we have carbon monoxide from all this. So CO plus O minus gives CO2, carbon dioxide. And what is carbon dioxide going to do? Global warming. So that's how ozone is a very big problem. When exposed to sunlight, it is split up into O2 and O minus, and then the spare oxygen can combine with other gases and form bigger problems. Right? What are one of the best sources? One of the worst sources of ozone? Okay, here it's not mentioned, but refrigerators are one of the biggest. CFCs is chlorofluorocarbons, along with that ozone. Right? And health effects, again, respiratory problems, reduced lung function, chronic respiratory diseases. Okay? Okay, we are just coming to something called VOX. VOX is volatile organic compounds. Okay? We have just been talking about air pollution now. How many of you have smelled paint? Paint. You like paint? You don't like paint? It's so colorful, so nice. Why don't you like paint? But when you smell paint, you can feel things that are going in. You can literally feel it here, no? Once you breathe, no, you can feel the paint here. You know what you are breathing in? You are breathing in organic compounds. What is an organic compound in chemistry? Anything with a benzene ring is a organic compound. Okay? Anything with a benzene ring is a organic compound. So we say volatile organic compounds. So you can just breathe and it will go in, and then you will get fever also. Like some people are allergic, they're very sensitive. So if they go near paint, they'll get fever. Why? It is because of the volatile organic compounds that are being emitted from these paints. Similarly, kerosene, very strong. If you go smell kerosene, it's almost like you're getting high, right? Why? What is the reason? Because it's so volatile and organic compounds are coming out. All of these are pollutants. And it's very dangerous for the human body. These are just two examples. Why else has paint been historically said it's dangerous? Lead. Paint has lead in it. Now they are trying to reduce since people have become a little knowledgeable, they are trying to reduce the amount of lead content in paints. But earlier they used to not care. There used to be lead, they used to say go paint, it's okay, nothing will happen to you. But now they are beginning to reduce the lead content. Okay, so wax are there everywhere. Okay, it is there in your household products. It could be paint, anything that gives out a very heavy smell, you have a VOC. Okay, the same is true for your vehicle emissions and everything, because vehicle emissions have a lot of things. Respiratory problems, eye, nose and throat irritation. Like I said, no, when you breathe, you can feel it here. You can feel it in your thoracic cavity, correct? Okay. Again, some VOCs are carcinogenic. Carcinogenic means cancer causing agents. Cancer causing agents. So you have to be very careful. So this is about air pollutants. Very quickly we will just look at water pollutants and land pollutants. Now I have given you this, but we will also have a table. This table has all the industries, pollutants, etc. All industries will have pollutants from this only. But you should know which industry is emitting what pollutant, so on and so forth. Health effects are also listed in the table. Okay. Okay. Water pollution is heavy metals. Heavy metals example is lead, mercury, arsenic. Lead, you know, is very, very dangerous for the human body. Mercury again, very, very quickly you will die if you One of the worst sources of mercury is your underground water. Underground water, if it has mercury, it's not potable, very dangerous. Same thing with arsenic also. Okay, so industrial effluents. Effluents means discharge from waste discharge from industries. They all have it. So they are dumping those waste directly into freshwater systems like lakes, rivers, and that water is coming to your house. Correct? And you are drinking it, and you are going to get cancer. So that's why you have to be very careful with heavy metals. Mining, again, whenever you mine, lead is present. Improperly disposed electronic waste. Electronic waste also have a lot of lead in it. Electronic waste means, let's say it is a PCB board, embedded system, chip, whatever chip. Chip has to be properly disposed because it has lead content in it. So if you just go throw it somewhere in large quantities, obviously there is going to be lead poisoning. That's also called e-waste, by the way. It's also called e-waste. Okay, health effects. You can have neurological issues. Whenever we say neurological issues, it can be strokes, it can be malfunctioning of the human body, it can be malfunctioning of the brain. Okay, all of these are connected to neurological disorders because it is connected with the central nervous system. Okay, so developmental problems in children and organ damage. Organ damage also you can connect it to neurological issues. How? Because it is the nerves that have to go and deliver blood supply and messages through the system, correct? So if the organs are not receiving the right kind of messaging and the right amount of blood, they will get damaged. Bacteria and pathogens. I mean, this bacteria is present everywhere. You know how many bacteria is present in us? You take a guess. Crores. Correct, crores. I think if I am not wrong, it is something in the range of 3 trillion or 30 trillion. Trillion. There is million. Million means 10 lakhs. There is billion. That means 10 lakhs into 10 to the power of 3. Trillions is 10 lakhs into 10 to the power of 6. You are host to that many bacteria. So if somebody asks, are you lively? What are you going to say? Yes, I am very lively. I have over 3 trillion lives inside me. Okay. So bacteria and pathogens, by the way, there are good bacteria, bad bacteria. You can't survive without bacteria, just so you know. Okay. So, but whenever we are talking bacteria and pathogens, pathogens obviously means something that is harmful. Pathogen by definition is something that is harmful. Okay. So sewage discharge, right? Obviously, our waste contain a lot of unwanted bacteria and pathogens. Agricultural runoff, contaminated water sources, all of these are very bad. And obviously we all know that cholera, dysentery has been a very big problem in India. Why? Because of contaminated water, no good pure drinking water, right? Especially villages. If you go to villages, they don't find good sources of water. They have to go very far, find underground sources of water, which can again be polluted with what? Mercury or heavy metals. No, unclean. So this was one of the reasons that, you know, the Modi government, when it came, they had two main plans. What was it? The first one was called Swachh Bharat. With Swachh Bharat, what did they want to do? They wanted to build toilets. Anybody who goes to rural places, you will see this, that they have no underground sewage system, right? Water is stagnant right next to their house and the waste is discharged right there. The mosquitoes are coming, the flies are coming, the mosquitoes are coming and biting, then you are going to get dengue. Can we continue? It's biting and then you are getting dengue, malaria, and once the fly sits on the waste and then it comes and sits on your food, you consume it, you get dysentery, diarrhea. And the same cycle is continuing. Even today, just go to the outskirts of Bangalore and go and see the houses. You will find water standing right next to it. Just 30 kilometers you go outside, you will see it. Correct, no? The biggest sufferers of these are who? Children are the biggest sufferers of this, right? In fact, IMR is being addressed. What is IMR? Infant mortality ratio. That's being addressed. But children who are less than 5 years old are dying. One of the biggest reasons is this: unclean environments. You cannot even because this is under control of the local population also. Correct. It's about messaging. It's about laziness. Okay, so coal-based power plants. What are the pollutants? You should know, because in the prelims they are going to ask, coal-based power plants, does it have some kind of VOC? Does it have some kind of nitrous oxide? Does it have some kind of phosphate oxide? Or does it have phosphate? Does it have phosphates? No. But does it have NOx? Yes. Correct, no? So you need to know all of this. Now let's say automobile manufacturing and use. Obviously we know CO, NO and we know VOC because we have covered all of this. The reason I am showing you this table is to tell you that we have covered all of these pollutants. Now you just have to know which industry has which pollutant. You're understanding? That's the reason I covered all the pollutants. Textile industry we also saw. What is it? Liquid discharge. Liquid discharge has what? Dyes and chemicals. What do these chemicals have? It has phosphates and nitrates, among other things. It also has VOCs. We covered all of that. Did we cover or not? Right. That's why I was trying to do that. Chemical manufacturing, voice and acidic emissions. What is the difference between an acid and a base? pH. pH. Okay. Is pH higher for a base or acid? Acid. 7 plus is? Below 7 is? What is the base also called as? Alkali. Okay. Alkaline means? Basic. Alkaline means basic. Okay. 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 So chemical manufacturing, acidic, agriculture, pesticides, ammonia, methane. Methane is a very big, and methane is also volatile. You should know that. Okay. Which is one of the biggest contributors of methane in the world? Rice producing areas. And methane is also present inside coal mines. So many people die in coal mines, no, from blasts. It is because they find methane there. They'll be drilling, they find methane, there's a big blast, they all get trapped inside and they die. So methane is found even there. So we just go back to conservation. We were talking about this yesterday. There are many projects. Okay. For example, Project Tiger, Project Elephant, Project Vulture, Project Snow Leopard, crocodile conservation programs in India, Project Sea Turtle, Project Dolphin. All these projects are there. You have to study all these projects. How to go about studying the project? I'll just talk about one project, most important one, Project Tiger. Okay, no? Rest of it you can just study, because we won't have time to cover everything today. Okay. Project Tiger, 1973. That is when it was instituted. Why was it instituted? Population of tigers became very low in 1970s. Why? Poaching, and not hunting per se, but it's mainly about man-animal conflict. Hunting tigers isn't as easy as maybe hunting deer is, right? Not everybody can do it. Majorly it was about poaching. No, I take your point. Your point is well taken. This Maharaja, Britishers, everybody went shooting, they killed everything, correct. That is still 1950, 1952. Even after that, in fact. But by 55 to 70, I think poaching became a bigger issue, and sustainability of these ecosystems was not good. So by 1970s, the population had fallen to just 1,200 numbers. Okay, just 1,200 tigers across India. So since the first class, we have been talking about the importance of top predator in maintaining the ecological balance of a system, right or wrong? Now, if the number of tigers are dwindling or becoming lesser, what is happening to the quality of the ecosystem? It is diminishing. Okay, so taking care of the population of tiger became the first priority, because if tiger population increases, that means everything else is going to get restored, right? That's why Project Tiger was taken up. So it was taken up in conjunction with the World Wildlife Fund, that is WWF. This is not John Cena WWF, this is animal WWF, okay, not human WWF. So whenever you say what is the purpose of Project Tiger, it is ensure a viable tiger population in the country, conserve their habitats, and make sure that their living becomes sustainable and propagative. This purpose remains the same for all the projects. If it is Project Vulture, same thing. Project Elephant, same thing. Make sure there is a viable population of the species, and it is and the habitats are conserved, and that they can propagate their species further. Okay, so this is true for everything. Next, so what is the strategy? So every project has a strategy. Okay, the Project Elephant, Project Vulture, Sea Turtle Project, Crocodile Conservation, everything's project, Snow Leopard, everything has a strategy. The strategy is generally very, very simple. You cannot do a lot. Either you can take these animals to some zoo or to some breeding center and breed them quickly, re-release them into wild. This is one option, which is very, very difficult to do, okay? Because once they are born in captivity, taking them back into the wild becomes very difficult, because they have lost the skill sets from a very young age. So that's not a possibility. And if you want them to survive in the wild, they have to be born in the wild. If you want them to be born in the wild, you have to conserve their habitat. So however you look at it, at the end we are going to come back to habitat conservation. And habitat conservation is done in two ways. One is you have a core area, which is the proper habitat of the species. You protect it and you let nobody in. No humans going, because the moment humans go somewhere, what do? We destroy that ecosystem and we make it our ecosystem. Correct? Any species that is there, we kill it and we make it our own. We say this species is dangerous and we kill it and we make it our own. So the first thing that we do is we establish a core area, and then we establish a buffer zone. We have been talking about this with respect to biosphere reserves. The same thing is done with all reserves, especially with tiger reserves. Okay, so whenever you see a tiger reserve, for example, is Hills a tiger reserve? Mudumalai Hills, it's a tiger reserve. Bhadra Tiger Reserve, have you heard? Where is it? Bhadra Tiger Reserve, Karnataka, Chikmagalur, north of Chikmagalur. That is where you have Bhadra Tiger Reserve. If you go to Bhadra Tiger Reserve, there is a core area where nobody is allowed. Then there are buffer zones where there are recreational activities. Bhadra Tiger Reserve also has a beautiful lake ecosystem where a lot of birds come in. It's a very famous spot. Okay. So like I said, 1200 tigers in Aril. Today we have over 3900. Okay. So which are some of the most famous tiger reserves? Sundarbans obviously is one of the bigger ones. We have spoken about Sundarbans quite a bit. Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, we have spoken about this also. It is in Rajasthan, near to Madhya Pradesh and near to which one? Kuno National Park. Okay. Okay. Kanha Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh. Okay. When you have forests that are dense, then you have tigers. When you have forests that are spread out, you have what? Cheetahs. You have lions when you have grasslands, right? Why are lions found only in Gujarat now? The Asiatic lion is found only in Gujarat today. Grasslands. It is because of the vegetation. Even if you look at National Geographic, where do you find the lions? In the savanna grasslands, right? Tropical semi-dry climates is where you will find lions. But where will you find tigers? Tigers very, very thick forests. Tigers rely on their stealth to fight. Lions depend on their strength and numbers. Lions always hunt in packs, tiger always hunts solo. Which is a bigger cat, tiger or lion? Tiger. Kanha Tiger Reserve. The dense forests of Kanha have been inspiration for Ridley's people in Jungle Book. I mean, you may know that. Bandipur Tiger Reserve in Karnataka, very, very, very beautiful tiger reserve. It is 200 kilometers from Bangalore. Okay, we'll look at some acts very quickly. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to run through 3 acts. Just you can just make a note whenever you think it is necessary. Okay. Okay. So EPA 1986. Nobody cared about environment. We were talking 1986. Now all these climate activists have come from the last 20 years only. Correct. When you were in school, probably you heard. You are all like, when I was in school, we never heard of environmental protection and all that nonsense. Now it has come in. Okay. Why in 1986? When did the do you know about the when you know about the Bhopal gas tragedy? When did it happen? So, who was the prime minister at that point in time? Huh? Hey, Rajiv Gandhi. Though you should not be asking prime ministers, you should be telling me like this. Huh? Okay, it is Morarji Desai was 77, 78. Okay, after emergency. Okay, anyways, we'll come to that later. We'll address it in polity classes. Now we are talking about Bhopal gas tragedy. 1 second, I'll just show you. You should know why, what law came, due to whom, everything you should know. When you know the history, it becomes very easy to connect it and start answering questions. Okay, so 1985, because it extended into it. So this Union Carbide India Limited, there was a big chemical accident, and people today are suffering. People today, generations today are suffering. It has been 40 years, almost 40 years. People today are still suffering. At that time, what did they say? We'll bring some act to to make sure that all this nonsense doesn't happen again. And that was when this Environment Protection Act came in. Understood? Huh? Okay. So this is the first time that we started defining terms like environment, environment pollutant, environment pollution, handling, hazardous substances. Till now, India was not at all concerned about these things. The first time we are talking about pollution and environmental pollution is, it defines the term environment, environmental pollution, handling, hazardous substances. Very important to know. Huh? Next. In fact, most of the acts will do this. They will contain the definitions of all these terms. Okay, and from there only all the legal framework is built based on the definition that is contained in the act. Huh? Okay. Now, general powers of the central government. Again, whenever we talk about EPA, again it's split into 2 parts. The central government enacts the act. There is also the state government actually implements it. Okay. Again, it can give any measures necessary for improving or protecting the environment. Again, we discussed this when we are talking about CPCB and SPCB. Do you remember that the central government is responsible for setting the standards of pollutants of air, water and soil. So all 3 are done by the central government. Again, the CPCB does it, and it is also contained in EPA. Okay, restrictions can be placed on areas where industries, operations or processes cannot be carried out. This also I have told you. This restriction can be placed by central government. The state government has to follow it. State government also can tell, I am not going to give permission. Both are possible. Got it? That's why we took up the CPCB, SPCB. I'll explain more. So procedure for handling hazardous substances. I told you, no, when I was talking about air, water and soil pollution, I said there is something called hazardous substances, and it does not have a specific act because that is contained in EPA. So if tomorrow there is a question in prelims that is which of the following acts deals with hazardous substances, what will you say? EPA. Very important, very important. It may feel boring, but questions will come from here only. So the act lays down procedure regarding the hazard, including their manufacture, processing, treatment, storage and transportation. Anything related to hazardous substances, the central government can do it. Powers of entry and inspection. So officials have the power to inspect all regions where hazardous substances are handled. So generally, who has the ability to inspect or who is given the responsibility of inspection? Correct. So generally, it is the State Pollution Control Board officials that will go and do the inspection. Correct? No, that's what we have been talking about. That the powers of execution and inspection generally is with. But when it comes to hazardous substances, central government can also do it. State government can also do it, central government can also do it. Again, penalties for contravention. This is a summary of the entire act. They are running through the entire act very, very quickly. Okay. Penalties always we have fine, imprisonment or both. Understood, no? Okay. Protection of action taken no legal against any government official. Okay, this is all just protection for the government official. Next. So when you become a government official, don't worry. You will be protected by all these acts only. So you should know the acts very well, and then you can see this act told me I can do whatever I want. So I did it in good faith. You cannot prosecute me. But there's somebody called the judge. He will finally rule. Okay. Power to make rules. The central government has the power to make rules for carrying out the provisions of the act. What is the difference between an act and a rule? We say laws. Laws is just general. Do you know that? I'll come to this. Wait. Oh, polity, I think we need to really do. What is the difference between a bill, act, law, rule? Bill is before it becomes an act or before it becomes. Correct. Is bill a law? Bill is not a law. Okay. What is an act? Correct. Once the legislature passes the bill, it becomes act. What is a law? So acts don't contain rules and regulations. Okay, acts contain provisions. These are called provisions or listings of the act. We'll come to what law is just momentarily. Before that, what are rules? Correct? No, you should know this. What? Rules means. Now, for example, the act gives you a broad picture. Okay. For example, the act is saying that there should be a CPCB. Now, the CPCB will go, which is a statutory body. The CPCB will go and make rules. Correct? No, that does not have to be passed by the parliament. Correct? Or even the state legislature. But that rule is a law. Understood? So, acts and rules are both laws. You understand the difference? For rules, it does not have to be passed by the state legislature. A statutory body can make rules and it is a law. That means it has to be obeyed. If you don't obey, what is the punishment? Fine, imprisonment or both. This is common. All acts threaten you the same way. Fine, imprisonment or both. I think we should also start that in class. If somebody is not listening properly, fine, imprisonment or both. EPA. Okay. Miscellaneous provisions, whatever is left, they will do that also. So that was about the EPA. We have done the summary of the entire act within 5 minutes. We'll do 2 more. Don't just be a little patient. We'll finish it off very quickly. Oh, this is a very important act. The Forest Conservation Act of 1980. So we'll go a little slow. Yesterday when I was showing you the map, right? So we'll just go back to the map today. Wait. Okay. I just want some water. Can you just read out whatever you can see there, like that is relevant to what we are discussing? Can you see a reserve forest? What reserve forest can you see? Okay, you see Konni Reserve Forest. You can see Periyar National Park. Okay. Who can create national parks? No, wrong. Gone, marks gone. State governments create national parks. Okay? So these all you should know. Now reserve forests. What is a reserve forest? We spoke about reserved areas yesterday. Do you remember? Okay. What is a reserve forest? Protected area. Okay. Why cannot a state do reserve a forest? Because it has to take permission from central government. Who has said this? Somebody has told. Why are you asking us all that? I have given you the right answer. Give me marks. Okay, so the answer to that question is that this act that you see, no, this act has told that states cannot de-reserve a forest without asking the central. So which act has told? The Forest Conservation Act of 1980. So why was this done? Right? Why was this done? Can you just think why? Let's say it's just a reserve forest, correct? It's not a national park, it's not a wildlife sanctuary, just a reserve forest, correct? So people are running about everything. What happens is local landlord who would have been Raja, Maharaja or mantris in that area. What they will do is they will go and start cutting timber. Oh, beautiful. Forest has so many natural reserves. They'll start mining, they'll start cutting timber, they'll start transporting timber. So all of this they'll start. So if you go and do it in a reserve area, it is illegal. But if you get the local MLA and then they go and de-reserve it, then you become free to do whatever you want. So that was happening. Right? So the central government saw it and they said, this is too much. Now we will pass an act where you will not be able to de-reserve the forest. Everybody knows corruption is happening. Everybody is okay with corruption. But they are saying don't do so much corruption that we have to pass laws to stop it. Okay. So conservation of forests for use of forest land and non-forest purposes. Like I said, mining you could start. So that was all not okay. The act defines for the first time people is forest officer, forest land. Very critical. Forest land. What is forest land? What is forest land? Grasslands can be forest land. Trees can be forest land. How do you know if it is a forest land? That definition is there. It's not as simple as you're thinking. Right? It's not as simple as you're thinking. Forest land definition is given by this act. What is forest purpose, non-forest purpose? That definition is given there. So, no state government or authority can make any order to de-reserve a forest or use forest land for non-permission without prior approval of the central government. This is at the very heart of this act. We have given you a reserved area, shut up and reserve it, don't use it. If you want to de-reserve it, first talk to us. You cannot even use it for. This term is defined where? In this act itself. Correct? No, then it's very critical. Again, forest lands. They will go to court saying, oh, this is not forest land. How are we defining forest land? That's why the act is defining forest land. Understood? Okay. So without the approval of the central government, you cannot do it. Constitution of an advisory committee. Again, it can have an advisory committee that gives recommendations. Powers and functions of the advisory committee. Again, some state government is asking you, do you want to de-reserve a place?
it goes to the committee can take a decision and tell the central government can choose to act on it or not. Okay. This committee will also send guidelines to the state governments on how to continue to better perform on this reserved areas. That is also done by this committee only. Okay. Now, penalties for contravention again. What is it? Imprisonment, fine or more. Procedure for appeal again. You can appeal whatever you want. Protection of action taken in good faith. This is to protect people. Once you become officers, read this very carefully. Okay. Power to make rules. You understood what is the rule? Correct? No? See, all acts have the same structure. No change in structure. Just 3-4 important points. Got it? No? Okay. Now we have come to Air Pollution Act and Water Pollution Act. I just want to finish these two, then we'll wrap up. Okay? Sleep here, hold, or we'll continue. We'll finish it now? Okay. Okay. So when this came in 1981. Okay? Forest Act came in 1980, Air Pollution Act came in 1981, EPA came in 1986 after the Bhopal gas strategy. Okay, no? So this is one of the first pollution control acts. Water pollution act also came after this one. Okay. So prevention, control, and abatement of air pollution. What is abatement? Abatement is reducing the speed. Abatement is reducing the speed of air pollution. See, once again, we are looking at definition. Define what is an air pollutant, what is air pollution, what is an automobile, water control equipment, what is emission. Okay, all of these terms are defined within this act. So the act provides for the establishment of central, state, and municipal implementation bodies. The boards are responsible for advisory authority. Once again, what is happening today? What we discussed in the very beginning about CPCB and SPCB. The Air Pollution Act gives it statutory status. The pollution control boards were set up with the statutory provision from Air Pollution Act of 1981. So if somebody asks you, are CPCB and SPCB statutory bodies, what are you going to say? Yes. Where are they deriving their powers from? Air Pollution Act of 1981. Again, the boards are responsible for government. All this we have already covered. Okay, we have already covered all this. The boards are responsible for the functioning of pollution control in central and state. That's what it says. That's all. Powers and functions of the board, we have already seen this. Correct? No? Do you have any doubts about the powers and control functions of the board? CPCB and SPCB. You know the powers and functions. Okay. Next summary. Restrictions on use of certain industrial lands. Okay. Once again, see. This year already see that the state board has to give its consent for any industries. Okay. Standard for emission of air pollution. This we have already seen. State board can do it, but it cannot be below the standards of the central government. Whatever central government has set the standards, it can give better standards, but not worse standards. Okay. Now funding budget, we don't need all this. For penalties and legal proceedings, what is it? Imprisonment, fines, and both. These are legal provisions we don't need. The main thing that you have to know from Air Pollution Act is it gives SPCB, CPCB, and CPCB and SPCB form rules. What rules? Emission control norms, and so on and so forth. This is one of the main points of the Air Pollution Act of 1981. Now we have come to Water Pollution Act of 1974. So to prevent and control water pollution and leakage or wholesome use of water. This is the objective. Okay. Establishment of boards, that is CPCB and SPCB, were given the powers to take care of water pollution also. So CPCB and SPCB today control air, soil and water. So powers and functions of the board, we have already seen all this. It is to regulate pollution. So power control and distribution. So this is known as the central pollution control. Collect and disseminate. Encourage research and central control. Inspect wastewater treatment installations done by SPCB. Understood? No? Now I think it's becoming clear why we spend so much time on that. Because all acts have the same provisions. You will understand. Restrictions. So again, this is norms are set by rules. Next. Consent procedure. Industries will seek consent again and again. See how many times. Penalty punishment, same thing. That's all. We are done with Water Pollution Act also. Nothing else. Appeal mechanisms, you can go to courts. You have finished the acts. You have finished the Pollution Control Acts. You have finished the Forest Conservation Act. You have spoken about SPCB, CBCB, and I have taught you how to think about a project. Correct? No? We just spoke about project area. Everything else is the same. Core area, buffer area, conserve habitat, and stop doing things that is killing the species. Correct? Why can't you breed it in captivity? I have given you the answer also. You probably can try to do it, but it's not going to be very successful. Okay? I think this is about pollution. We have covered almost everything that needs to be covered. Along with this, along with this table, you will also have to know about diseases. They are continuously asking about diseases. Okay? Which bacteria is causing what disease? All that is related to pollution only. Okay? That also you need to know. Please read the tables and give you the notes.